The Indoraptor, the ultimate killing machine, a beast from the future made up from pieces of the past, every single cell designed for hunting and killing. But here's the thing, the Demogorgon, well, it's not necessarily from Earth. It's not from around here. It's from the Upside Down. While there are a whole lot of scary things in the Upside Down, the Demogorgon might be the most instinctive killing monster down there. So, in a death match between the two of them, in the battle arena, who's going to be coming out on top? Well, let's get into it. The Indoraptor was built to be a living weapon, a hybrid of a velociraptor and the Indominus Rex. So it's basically the equivalent of taking the Indominus Rex and making it just fun-sized. Be like, oh, we love this giant mutant killing machine, but what if we make it smaller and smarter and just better? That's basically what happened here. Because what's worse than a smart, camouflaging T-Rex with super long arms? Well, what about a smaller version that was created specifically for combat? Standing up at 10 feet tall, 24 feet long, and clocking in at 1 ton, the Indoraptor is just big. It's got night vision, an incredible sense of smell, razor-sharp claws, and really truly couldn't be controlled. That's why this thing was still just a prototype. The idea was you could use this big old dinosaur to hunt down prey, use it in combat, maybe sell it to the military and have them play around with it. Or, wait, was that the plot of the first Jurassic World? Wait, what are they trying to do here then? Not really even sure. The Indoraptor is like Frankenstein's monster. Through no fault of his own and really for no purpose, it was created by a bunch of scientists to be a weapon. And when they got what they wanted, it was only then when they realized how stupid of an idea it actually was. It was already too late. So Henry Wu wanted to mix the Indoraptor with a little bit of Blue, the Velociraptor. Not necessarily because they just had to add more Velociraptor into the mix, but because there was something specific in Blue's DNA that made her more trainable and even just more sociable. This prototype was missing that. So the only way to even remotely control it was by using a special audio frequency. Whenever the Indoraptor heard it, it would be driven to attack any target with a laser. It would be legit unable to resist. Now, I think this is a little bit of a design flaw because I don't know practically in what scenario it actually makes sense to shoot somebody with a laser so that a giant dinosaur chases them and eats them, especially when you could just have shot them with a real gun in the first place. It definitely is a lot more badass. I mean, it's always going to be way cooler to kill somebody with a dinosaur rather than just a bullet. So I guess if just aesthetics are real important to you as a supervillain, then this is definitely the way to go. The Indoraptor is strong enough to easily tear through metal and steel, plow through dinosaur skeletons, and wreck museum displays. Really, just destroy the whole museum when it was chasing after Owen and Claire. He was able to overpower Blue and throw her around. And you're just a normal dude? Well, let's just say I wouldn't go putting your body parts anywhere close to its mouth. He's crazy durable, just naturally so tough, as elephant tranquilizers that worked on all the other dinosaurs don't actually work on him, even if he lets you believe they do. Bullets hurt him, but aren't actually enough to even break through the skin. He can take bites and attacks from Blue, but there are definitely limits to his durability too. Like, I wouldn't get anywhere too close to Triceratops skulls if I was him. And the funny thing is, the Indoraptor would probably learn from this mistake. You know, if he could. But he can't, because he's dead. Point is, the Indoraptor is smart. I mean, this thing is scary smart. I mean that literally, this thing is scary smart. It pretended to be knocked out by tranquilizers in order to get closer to his prey. He was able to operate doors, even though I really doubt he'd ever even seen doors before. And you want to talk about an ambush? Well, how about this for an ambush? And it's really not just that. The Indoraptor seems to be smart enough to where all its aggression and anger and violence almost seems to go beyond being simply animalistic, like the other dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Instead, it actually seems to enjoy causing fear and pain, which, does make sense. The Indoraptor was an abused animal to the point where you can almost feel sorry for it. It didn't ask to be made, it didn't ask to be born. And when it was, well, it was just tortured and abused. You can see it right here. The guards are using tasers on it, even while the Indoraptor is still in its cage. It was tortured so much that it grew up thinking it was totally normal to torture other living things. That's what you were just supposed to do. You can even see it right here, right before it's about to attack. It's almost got a grin on its face. The Indoraptor is enjoying all of this. It's excited about what it's about to do, which is just scary. But the Demogorgon, well, it's plenty scary too. And it's really scary to just look at. It's a supernatural, superhuman animal, and it is plenty strong, plenty tough, and plenty fierce. But outside of those simple statements, well, there's actually a lot of the Demogorgon that we don't necessarily know. And so, put on your hard hat, grab your flashlight, because we're going mining for answers and some extra content. So we gotta start with the basics. The Demogorgon is a creature from another dimension that 11 made contact with while they were in that weird black wet place. That dimension might have been the Upside Down. All the monsters in the Upside Down do kind of look similar. Or it might have been an entirely new dimension altogether. The Demogorgon has the ability to hop between our world and the Upside Down and hop between dimensions. So it would make sense that it could probably do the same with other dimensions besides just ours. It's multidimensional. And besides, as far as I understand it, the Upside Down is like a bridge between other dimensions. It's like the shadow place in Dungeons and Dragons. So it crosses over with our world, but also with other worlds as well. But from there, well, Demogorgon started hunting in Hawkins, started hunting in our world as well. This was actually all the result of Vecna, the true villain behind everything, a literal psychopath, not a dude who was abused and treated bad so he became evil because of his tragic backstory, but just a dude who was evil through and through. He was sent to the Upside Down by 11, sent to a place that was primal, that was untouched by mankind, by human hand. That's when he found it, the mind flayer, the hive mind behind all the Upside Down. Except here it was more a force of nature. It was a destructive force, sure, but didn't have any real will or desire, like a natural disaster. It was primal. And like Prometheus bringing fire down to the humans, Vecna brought consciousness and purpose to the mind flayer. One brought the resources, the other brought the direction. A perfect relationship, both depending upon the other. And this explains a few things. Why the Upside Down looks so much like Earth, except just devoid of all humanity, aka Vecna's paradise, and why they're so focused on Hawkins, Indiana. But what's all this got to do with the Demogorgon? Well, it was part of the hive mind too, but for some reason it wasn't corrupted as much by Vecna as everything else was. It still maintained a lot of its more primal nature. Sure, sometimes it snaps into order and follows the mind flayer as a loyal foot soldier. But most of the time, well, it's just doing its thing, hunting, stalking, killing, being an animal, being a predator. The Demogorgon is able to easily kill people, just rip them all to shreds, pin them down, throw them around, and easily overpower them. However, how strong the Demogorgon actually isn't totally clear because we're not entirely sure what it looks like when the Demogorgon is creating portals and entering into our world. But it does still seem to have to physically break through at least somewhat. With how it was able to hold open that metal door in Russia, well, it's safe to say the Demogorgon is really pretty strong. It's also really tough. Like Steve can't do nothing with that baseball bat. A bunch of Russians could never even hurt the monster, no matter how many times they try to charge it with some truly old school weapons. It can take a ton of gunshots, a lot of automatic gunfire, like a ton of gunshots. Its skin basically seems to function like some form of armor. Bullets just seem to piss it off more than actually injure it. Really, the only way the Demogorgon has ever been killed was 1 by 11, when she straight up disintegrated 1, broke it down on the molecular level. And then 2, after 1 had been burned alive by a flamethrower, Hopper was able to decapitate it with a sword. And while Eddie might have gotten the most metal moment in Stranger Things, Hopper definitely comes a close second here when he fights against basically a real life demon. So, who would win in a fight between these two monsters? Well, there are a couple things here. For starters, there is just the size difference. Sure, the Demogorgon might be 6 to 10 feet tall or something like that, but the Indoraptor is 10 feet tall, over 20 feet long, and weighs 1 ton. Sure, the Demogorgon might be able to hold its own strength-wise, but just that size difference alone is a big deal. That's still a big deal. While the Demogorgon might be plenty durable to bullets, it's actually probably the more durable one out of the two. I'm not sure how well it's going to translate into more animal-like fight like this one, because the Demogorgon just has a lower damage output. Its weird mouth isn't going to damage the Indoraptor in the same way where the Indoraptor can just bite right through the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon's claws aren't as deadly as the Indoraptor's, and the Indoraptor is definitely powerful enough to damage the Demogorgon. It's not impenetrable, especially against something like this dinosaur. And besides, the Indoraptor is way smarter, way trickier, way sneakier, way more deadly. That's definitely got a factor in here too. It was bred and designed for combat. It's the ultimate killing machine. It's gonna be able to beat a Demogorgon, despite the Demogorgon being bulletproof. The Indoraptor wins.